The tangled webs we weave. Amber, this baby will be a consistent reminder of Kirk's brutal death, my mother asserted. Right out of the blue, only days after Kirk's death. My family desperately wanted me to forget this dreadful trauma and move on with my life. They didn't understand why, at my age, I wanted to keep this baby, and they insisted I have an abortion. Time now felt like my enemy. I suppose that's why it's important to never make any major life decisions after a suicide. The anguish you're left with often distorts your ability to handle changes and make clear choices. My parents didn't heed such recommendations and refused to merely listen to me and respect their grandchild. Both of my parents felt that their daughter was experiencing horrendous circumstances and that aborting this baby was analogous to a victim of rape option. Their point of view was, how could I possibly move on and forget what had happened since I'd be raising Kirk's baby? He'd always be a part of my life. They didn't know what they were trying to ask me to do. They continually lied to me, trying to coerce me to terminate my pregnancy. Both were sure I could resent the child one day because of what Kirk had done. I still refused. Neither of them understood what I already knew about abortion from personal experience. As I'll explain later in this book, abortion is not an option. Conversely, I was terrified of losing my baby and wrestled for his or her life with everything in me. After Kirk died, I felt like there was nothing left, no life within me and no life to live for, until I thought about the precious baby I carried. I longed for our baby. I knew how bad off I was. Lord knows what my unborn baby was feeling in my emotional roller coaster of adrenaline blasts and severe depression. If babies sense, feel, and even taste what their mothers experience, and science tells us they do, then how could a baby, no longer than a tube of chapstick, survive such an ordeal unharmed? I was horrified to use the bathroom. I envisioned having a miscarriage night after night. I was afraid to pull down my pants, unsure of what I might uncover. I feared my underwear would be overflowing with blood clots, blood pouring down my legs. Latin on my panties would be the lifeless body of my perfectly formed baby, partially submerged in tissue and bodily fluids. She would have every finger and toe, but dark spots could be seen under her tissue-thin skin. It was so disturbing. This illusory hurt was unyielding. I wanted this baby so desperately that I sought out hope and protection. This led me to religion. I began to pray to God. I didn't know much about prayer at the time, but after staring death in the face, I urgently prayed for help to keep the severe depression at bay, at least until I had my baby. Even though I wasn't a real Christian, I began to wear a cross around my neck. It made me feel safer, more secure. The phone rang, and I was guardedly excited when my sister, mother, and father asked me out to an all-you-can-eat cafeteria for lunch. Even depressed pregnant women rarely turn down a free meal, especially one that's buffet style. My stomach rumbled in anticipation as I confirmed my attendance, adding that I would be more than happy to join them. My parents hadn't given up on the abortion idea and had formed another plan. This wasn't going to be some peaceable communal meal. It was a conspiracy to try to persuade me to believe that abortion was my only option. I was hiding as much as I could behind my long hair. It was still awkward being out among the living. I didn't like seeing people, especially happy people, and I didn't want them seeing me. I have some bad news I need to tell you, my mother began the deliberate story. Those 10 words meant trouble, more pain, making me tuck beneath my tresses more. I stopped moving bits of food around my plate and looked up at her. My appetite vanished as a graveyard stillness filled the air. She let out a heavy sigh, as if this task was daunting and her words too grim to voice aloud. Amber, honey, you cannot have a baby. As if in critical, loving concern, she picked up my hands and held them in hers. Her expression was surly, melancholy. I've continually been fascinated with Mom's acting capabilities. I was sure she could be a stand-in for Judi Dench at a moment's notice. You'll have an inherited genetic disease, and you can't have a baby. It will die anyway, she lied. I was repelled by her feeble story, but still squirmed in my seat. Oh, right, nice try, Mom. Amusing zinger. Oh, please, you know that's not true, Mom. I confidently searched my father and siblings' face quizzically for disparity, but neither disagreed with Mom. To my shock, both were stone-faced and bobbing their heads in accord. The hush between them sustained. This can't be true. Fear quaked through me like pulsations through a cable. A shiver went up my spine, my palms dampened with sweat. Without warning, I became so nauseous that I just about threw up Luby's best country fried chicken in front of the entire restaurant. You'll die even trying to carry the baby, Mom unrelentingly persisted, now supplementing the terrorizing, morbid fib with threats of my demise. The flurry of agony that coursed through me felt more excruciating than Kirk's death did. All I had left was our baby, that small seed of hope, and I was coerced into uttering goodbye to my now pulverized future. No way, I'll die first. Then we will die together, I bawled at them defiantly. Through the haze of my tears, my father distorted into a blurred form, staring at the floor and shaking his head. The burning tears filled my eyes, and my heart ruptured all over again. Oh my God, oh my God. With my father and my sister's quiet agreement, I believed I was hearing the truth. For the first time in my life, I knew what it felt like to really want to die. I was so empty inside that I didn't even feel pregnant anymore. How could I feel so hollow, so empty, and be with child? I wiped my hands wearily down my face. No, why me? In my jumbled torment, as if I had had a gun, I would have shot myself at that moment right there in front of them. I was that deeply disturbed and all consumed by depression. I reached up to yank that cursed no-good cross off my neck, sure God had rejected me. I was shattered in pieces, pounded down like a trampled puppy. How could he do this to me? I didn't feel protected or comforted by the idol. Before I could even give the chain a suitable jerk, my sister seized my arm with tears in her eyes, pleading with me to stop. I did, but begrudgingly. I couldn't frown or smile. The agony was like a living beast. My belly was a cesspool, unrelentingly churning in revulsion. Perhaps seeing the despondency on my face, or not wanting to be blanketed with vomit, my parents' intimidation ended for that day. They would try to persuade me to abort again soon, in an even more violating and detestable manner.